Okay, the iPad, the Pro, the Air, all these crazy devices that students like to buy thinking they're so smart, writing with their little Apple pencils. Are these the devices that will obliterate the MacBook line? This iPad right here, it's a very interesting device. It does a lot of cool things, but it also has a lot of problems. So I'm going to walk you through why this device right here could be the reason the MacBooks will be fully obliterated. Let's get into that. So, what makes this device so cool? One word, ladies and gentlemen, versatility. This is razor thin, just like a couple sheets of paper. But when you want it to be a laptop, it turns into a laptop, magnetically attaching to the white keyboard. This is essentially a digital notepad, a computer, and a tablet for entertainment and stuff all in one. Now, no device ever can do that. An iPhone is an iPhone, a MacBook is a MacBook, but this device is a 3-in-1. You can do so many things with it, and it's so much fun to use. But what truly makes it fun is the one and only Apple Pencil. Right, this Apple Pencil right here is capable of so much. It's literally the magic wand of this iPad. So let's take a look at how it all works. Okay, the Apple Pencil, the one thing that separates the iPad from any device in Apple's lineup. Why is this so special? It's special because it's targeted to two types of people, creators or students. If you're a student, this is a lot of fun because you can go into the Notes app right here and you can start writing. It's fun, it's cool. Now, why is it that it's so smooth? This actually has a really low latency, which means as you put the pencil on the pad and you start sort of writing, it feels as though you're writing on paper. With the iPad Pro, you get 120 Hz refresh rate, which actually reduces the latency even more and makes it a much more smoother experience. Along with that, this Apple Pencil has got this little panel on the side where if you double tap, it turns into a rubber, and if you double tap again, it turns into a pen. With that, you don't even need to take your fingers off this pencil. Now, if you're a creator like me and you like editing videos and editing photos, using the Apple Pencil will change the experience forever. For example, if I go into photos, this is a really cool looking image, but I want to edit it and make it look better. Now, instead of having to use my fingers to change the settings, which isn't going to give me the most precise image, I can use the pencil and start going through and getting the exact number of highlights or the exact number of shadows that I need. So it shows that creative work and writing is all really cool with this. However, navigation with the Apple Pencil shows that the iPad isn't truly a MacBook replacement. And the reason for that is this iPad magnetically sits on this magic keyboard case. But people seem to think that this alone has now turned it into a computer. To some degree it has, because you can type with the keyboard. But this trackpad is pretty much acting as though it's a way of navigating around the computer rather than the sole way of using it. For example, if I go into an app, the way to exit is to like swipe up with 3 fingers, or the way to swipe across is with 2 fingers. And so a lot of the time I find myself using it like this, with my finger here, maybe the trackpad here. It's never truly a laptop experience. There are no function keys on the Magic Keyboard, which I don't like, but I'm sure somehow Apple would have engineered some keys at the top. But that forces you to kind of go right up to the front and put your finger down on the screen and start changing the brightness and doing all that kind of stuff. That alone shows that this isn't a true laptop replacement. You're kind of just using it like an iPad like this, or you're taking it off and using it like this. So these things, I think, are accessories to this one device that is made to be used like this with your fingers. And while the Apple Pencil is really fun and really cool to use, it is merely an accessory of navigation of the iPad. And the reason for this pencil is to separate the iPad from the MacBook. Because like I said, it's not a full-on computer. It is simply just a screen which can be used for taking notes. And I think the keyboard is just there to help with typing, because again, no one really likes to type on an iPad. So these are just merely accessories increasing the iPad experience and not turning it into a MacBook. So let's have a look at the second thing, which I think is really important, and that's the display of the iPad. Okay, so display on the iPad Pro, it is an incredible display. It's basically the same display you would find on the new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, where it has a mini LED panel, which means the The black levels are extremely black and it looks like you're looking at an OLED image. For example, this wallpaper right here looks so bright, so crisp, and all the dark points are extremely dark. The 120Hz refresh rate that Apple markets all the time, called ProMotion, actually looks the best on the iPad. The iPhone is really cool, but you're pretty much just swiping around. The MacBook, you don't notice it too much because you're using the trackpad, but with the iPad, you're swiping on this massive screen, you're using the pencil, so ProMotion does look the best on the iPad. On top of that, HDR. This is an HDR panel which reaches up to 1600 nits of brightness, again, just like the MacBook Pro. So if you're watching content in HDR on Netflix, on YouTube, the panel will actually get brighter than the brightest setting available on the iPad. That extra level of brightness is only accessible when watching HDR content, and it looks so good. So basically, this is a copy of the Pro Display XDR, which costs £6,000, and you're getting this in this really nice compact size right here with this level of thinness. Now, those who like this display may want to pick this over the M2 MacBook Air and the M2 MacBook Pro actually. So let's get on to some of the cons with the iPad and whether you should buy it or not. Let me tell you something. There are problems with this machine, and there are problems which, well, make it a device that I don't think I'd really want to buy. And I'll tell you why. The first thing is called optimization. Now, why is optimization so important? Optimization means that when you're using apps on a particular device, it should work for what that device really is. Now, this Apple iPad Pro is marketed as a performance beast with its M1 chip, the same chip you would find in something like a MacBook Air. Now, that chip is capable of so much, and you know, there's so many videos out there of people editing high quality video in Final Cut Pro, which is Apple's most powerful editing software, through the power of the M1. Now, this iPad right here has the M1, but guess what? It doesn't have any of those optimized apps. For example, Final Cut is not on there. So if you want to edit videos, you can use alternatives like LumaFusion, but you've got such a powerful device that could arguably be replacing your MacBook. Those apps are very important to have because of their capabilities. Now, Google Chrome. Google Chrome is terrible. It is terrible on this iPad because it is literally a blown up version of Google Chrome on the iPhone. Now, I understand Apple does separate iPad OS from iOS, which gives some, really cool features like having the dock at the bottom of the iPad, or for example, being able to have Safari be exactly the same as the MacBook, which gives you the same kind of browsing experience as you would on a computing device like the one behind me. However, this iPad just still isn't there yet. It's not a complete MacBook replacement. You're still missing out on a lot of things. The Files app isn't like Finder on here. The Files app is very much like the one on the iPhone, where you're still dragging things around. So there are still a lot of problems that just doesn't quite catch up with the MacBook. But what do I call this device? I call it an accessory to the MacBook. Now, Apple has announced features like Sidecar, which is really cool, and that allows your iPad to act like a second display to your MacBook, and you can drag things across your MacBook to the iPad. But that alone shows it to be an accessory. It's the device that students can buy to write things down, or a little entertainment device to watch Netflix on. And if you want to do some, hardcore heavy editing and that kind of stuff, you can do it here and there with some apps on the App Store. But generally speaking, I wouldn't go out there thinking this is going to replace your MacBook forever. If you truly want a proper computer, go for the M2 MacBook Air or step up to that M1 Pro MacBook Pro. But it is a very cool device, but targeted to a particular group of people, and I don't think this is going to kill that MacBook line anytime soon. So, I hope this video helped you if it came to the decision of buying an iPad or not. Make sure you click on this video if you want to learn about the MacBook Pro and the power there, or this video if you want to see how this entire setup was made through this MacBook. But I am going to be releasing a video breaking down the Apple event, because the Apple event is going to be happening very soon. Not next week, I think it's going to be this week, because this video is going to be coming out a day or two before that event. But yeah, the new iPhone is coming, people, so I'm going to be breaking down that event. But apart from that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications. Remember that event video is coming very soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Also, follow the Instagram down below. But yeah, goodbye.